welcome to the GrandLAN comic video blog for books that came out on April 1st, 2009. I'm Craig, your host. This is part 2 of 4. Oh, not 5, just 4. Still a lot, though. We're going to talk about some Marvel books, some non-Dark Reign Marvel books. The Dark Reign stuff was in part 1. Part 3 is going to have some DC stuff, and part 4 is going to have some indie stuff, including one you're really going to want to tune in to see. Some really interesting things going on in the indies this week. Let's start with Amazing Spider-Man number, I don't know what, 590. 590. As the title says, the one you've been waiting for. Amazing Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. Originally tagged as a Dark Reign? No, not originally tagged as a Dark Reign. That was the end of the character assassination. My mistake. This could have been Dark Reign. For those of you that are clamoring to see Spider-Man interact with the real Marvel Universe, the real Dark Reign Marvel Universe, here it is. He goes on a mission with the Fantastic Four because he went on a mission with them many years ago, and then all of a sudden they realize they don't know his secret identity. All of their cell phones have been magically erased. They have no idea. Some strange stuff. And we find out that Peter knows that this has happened and keeps trying to change the subject and get off of it. And then at the end, his mask is... he's tricked into removing his mask, and all of a sudden Johnny Storm sees him and goes, "You!" And we're at a cliffhanger, which is almost certainly a bait and switch, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to give away Spider-Man's secret identity to the Fantastic Four after making a big deal about it here. But the point is, here's a look at, you know, dealing with this. And it's very interesting to see where Slott's going with this. This is a Dan Slott, Barry Kitson book. Barry Kitson, great art. The order should have never been canceled, but that's an aside. Dan Slott, again, obviously writing great stuff. It just feels like Slott's baiting the internet. Like, oh yeah, you haven't... the fur has kind of died down after a year of complaining about it. Let's throw some more, hey, Spidey has a secret identity and nobody knows, and it's got this strange vibe about it. Feels like he's just kind of baiting people, just throwing it out there, going, hey, remember when you were pissed about this? It's still going on. It's tough, but I mean, other than that, it's a great story. It's great to see Spider-Man written this way in terms of just his scientific knowledge. Him and Reed Richards have a great discussion, which it should happen. I mean, the man invented web fluid, for God's sakes, you know? Give him some intelligence. Overall, very good book, very exciting. Next up, Captain America Comics #1. Look at that. Old style, timely comics logo. Boy, that's going to be fun. James Robinson and Marcos Martin. You would think this would be just a brilliant idea, right? And $4 nonetheless. You know, you get a little Hitler action on there. That's great. Real World War II weekend going this weekend at GrandLAN. Maybe we should take this over to him. But anyways, this is James Robinson and Marcos Martin telling a story of, you know, Bucky reflecting on why Captain America is awesome. And kind of a little like, remember Captain America's origin? This is kind of how we got to Captain America's origin. The origin of Captain America's origin, if you will. And then after that, like Captain America Comics #7 from like 1940, you know, something. It's the wackiest thing ever because Cap and Bucky are at a baseball game and Cap asks to be subbed in for another player because somebody's going to throw a bomb in the guise of a baseball. And it's, you know, it's 1940 style, just like, we're really bored. What are we going to have Cap do now? He can't punch Hitler in the face every week, I guess. Really, unfortunately, this is not worth $4. You know, if you want to go on a nostalgia trip and have a fun little, you know, and you want to pay $4 for it, hey, go right ahead, be my guest. But this does not pay off. James Robinson, Marcos Martin's story in the front just isn't long enough and it isn't substantial enough to justify this pay. And then to throw in, you know, a reprint afterwards just seems to just jack up the page count for no reason in particular. It's really sad. And, you know, Marvel should be handling the 70th anniversary a little better than that, but they're not. Next up, The Destroyer #1, or as I like to call it, Hype. Robert Kirkman and Cory Walker have done books together before. As you might know, I believe it's called Invincible. Or is it The Walking Dead? No, that's Charlie Adler. My mistake. It's Invincible. It's about superheroes. This is about superheroes, and it's Robert Kirkman. And it's a guy who finds out he doesn't have much time to live, so he decides to go around wrapping up all the loose ends of supervillains. It's a Max title, so he does it swearing a lot and a lot of violence and gore, and it's overhyped. I know it's all about, Robert Kirkman writing for the Max line. It's going to be so good. He writes an Image. He's allowed to do anything he wants at Image. Why would it matter if he's writing at Max? Like, this is not, it doesn't draw on much of the Marvel Universe. You could do, barring the fact that the Destroyer might be, a reference back to an old Marvel character, you can do a knockoff character. I don't think Marvel's going to exactly sue Robert Kirkman for doing some sort of parody of the Destroyer. It's not a hot comic property. It's not going to be a blockbuster movie. This is just disappointing, really. It's Kirkman doing Kirkman's thing, and if you're a Kirkman fan and you will line up to, purchase anything that he's about and rave about it, then you're already there. You've already bought it because you were at the store on Wednesday. If you're still holding out hope, don't get it, because it really is. I have not seen a more gratuitous Max title since the launch of the Max line. Really. What is worth your money, your hard-earned money, is the Marvel Assistant-sized Spectacular. Now, I'm old enough to remember Assistant Editors Month, when all the assistant editors apparently got control of the Marvel Universe and tell a bunch of wacky stories. It was great. It was funny, and they'd always tell some sort of offbeat story, and some weird thing would happen, and there'd always be weird little covers to go with it. Here, it's kind of the same idea. The assistant editors all get kicked out of an important meeting, and they all decide to hold a different meeting at their own, in the bathroom or whatever, and they each kind of pitch ideas. It's a two-part story. Part 1 features 3 amazing stories. Jason Aaron and Richard Isanove tackle the... what's that guy? I'm completely drawing a blank. I got to open it up. One of my viewers suggested I put notes on the back, and I should have. The American Eagle? Yes, the American Eagle. And it's so Dark Tower looking. It's so amazing. It's first-class stuff. You get a D-Man story about D-Man serving in Iraq. By Brian Pratchett and Xerxo Penalta. I've never heard of either of those guys, but it was so solid. And then, of course, you get a mini Marvel story. And if you know me, I'm a sucker for a mini Marvel story, let alone a Hawkeye mini Marvel story by Chris Giarrusso. Brilliant, brilliant stuff in here. Well worth it. I can't wait to see the second issue. You got to read the mini Marvel story, by the way. I got an audience over there. He's got to see it. It's hilarious. So many good things go on in there. But anyways, get that book. It's so good. It's fun. It's campy, but it's great. It should be fun. It's what it's supposed to be, and it's got some high quality, first rate stuff like Jason Aaron and Richard Isanove in that middle story. It's just beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous in the art. Last up, War of Kings, number 2 of 4. I know if I don't read this, I'm going to have some people trying to kill me. So, I read it, and it's fun. It's got a good feel about a nice crossover, but it's just lacking that oomph that the Kree Skrull War had, or that the Operation Galactic Storm had. It's definitely great characters doing very interesting things. The writing's there. It's Abnett and Lanning. Are you kidding me? One thing that I've been meaning to mention in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I see it here now, is Abnett and Lanning borrowing the Next Wave profanity with the skull and crossbones. That's just a really nice touch. Just a tiny little touch that's really good. Paul Peltier does some great art here. It's really improved from the first issue. 2 of 6. Did I say 2 of 4? I probably did. 2 of 6. It's going to be fun. It's a nice series. But I just don't feel like it's big. I feel like nobody wants to tie into it because we're all done tying in with Secret Invasion. And obviously it's not near Earth, so there's only a little bit of peripheral tie-ins. But it feels kind of like a medium-sized event. It's not a big event, and it's not its own little tiny event like X-Men Kingbreaker was leading up to it. But it's good. It's very solid stuff. Again, Abnett and Lanning write good stuff all day long. So it's fun to see the Shi'ar characters again, with a new writer touching them as opposed to Chris Claremont for the umpteen-thousandth time. And it's interesting to see the new Kree Empire with the Inhumans. Very good stuff. Good character development in these. So definitely check it out if the cosmic stuff is your forte. That's it for this installment. I hope we didn't go a bit long. Join us again for parts 3 and 4.